Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you today not as a casual observer of life's events, but as one who has studied the patterns of human success, the laws that govern achievement, and the inner workings of the mind that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. You sit here now, listening to my words, because a spark of ambition lives within you, a desire, a calling, a whisper of greatness. And yet, for too long, you have allowed something most insidious to control your destiny, your fear of failure. Fear is not merely an emotion. It is the silent thief of potential, the invisible chain that binds action to hesitation, thought to doubt, and effort to futility. Consider this. Every man and woman who has accomplished something remarkable, every towering inventor, visionary leader, and architect of progress has faced fear. But they did not permit it to dictate their choices. They did not surrender to its seductive argument. They understood a principle as old as thought itself. Emotions that govern your actions will enslave you, but thoughts that govern your emotions will set you free. You must comprehend that success begins not in the marketplace, not in the boardroom, not in the applause of the crowd. It begins in the sanctuary of your own mind. Until you command your inner world, you remain at the mercy of circumstance, reaction, and opinion. A storm may rage without, yet a disciplined mind is a fortress, impervious to distraction, invulnerable to despair. This is not philosophy. This is cause and effect. The mind is the master. The body, the world, and fate are its servants. Many believe that failure is a circumstance beyond their control. They perceive life as a series of external events that must be endured, survived, or navigated. But let me tell you this truth. Circumstance is neutral. It is your mind that assigns meaning, labels, and consequence. You cannot control every event that befalls you, but you can control your reaction. And in controlling your reaction, you control the trajectory of your life. A man who reacts impulsively to anger, to criticism, to disappointment, gives away his power. A man who pauses, who breathes, who measures thought against principle, seizes his power back. This brings us to the first law you must understand, the law of mental neutrality. To master your destiny, you must first master the ability to detach yourself from the emotional surge of life's events. A man of great success is not a man untouched by emotion. He is a man who does not surrender to it. He experiences passion, joy, disappointment, even grief, but he does not allow these states to dictate action. Emotional detachment does not mean apathy. It means sovereignty. It means the ability to think first, act second. It means that your mind is a tool, not a slave. You may ask, how does one cultivate this detachment? The answer lies in discipline, in repeated practice, in conscious choice. Begin by observing the mind itself. When anger rises, do not react. When fear whispers, do not obey. When doubt looms, do not despair. Notice the emotion, acknowledge it, and then return to reason. Train yourself, as a master trains a blade, until this becomes instinctive. The moment you learn to command your mind rather than serve it, you will experience a liberation unlike any other. The ability to act decisively, to move strategically, to pursue your goals with clarity and precision. And here is a profound truth. Mastery over emotion is the foundation of all other forms of power. Without it, knowledge becomes indecision, skill becomes chaos, and opportunity becomes regret. With it, a man can weather the fiercest storms, navigate the most treacherous waters, and rise to heights that the untrained mind cannot even imagine. Emotional detachment is not coldness. It is not withdrawal from life. It is the cultivation of inner stillness from which all effective action flows. Next, let us speak of mental discipline, the twin of emotional mastery. Discipline is the architecture of thought. It is the process by which ideas are shaped into plans, plans into action, and action into results. A mind undisciplined is like a river without banks. Energy is wasted, direction is lost, and potential is scattered. A mind disciplined is like a channeled torrent, unstoppable, focused, powerful, able to carve through the hardest stone of circumstance. Napoleon Hill wrote, and I quote, "Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. Understand this. Discipline is forged through effort, sustained by choice, and perfected through habit. Begin with small acts of control. Decide in advance how you will respond to provocation, how you will allocate your time, how you will guard your attention. Train the mind as a soldier trains for battle. There will be resistance. Your emotions, your habits, your instincts will cry out in rebellion. Obey only the higher command of your purpose. Every victory, however small, compounds. Each moment in which thought dominates impulse is a deposit in the bank of your destiny. And let us speak now of definiteness of purpose, the most critical of all principles. A mind disciplined and detached is a powerful instrument, but without direction, it is like a cannon without a target. Purpose is clarity. Purpose is the lodestar that guides every thought, every action, every decision. Ask yourself now, do you have a clear, singular purpose? Do you know with absolute certainty what you seek, why you seek it, and what you are willing to endure to attain it? If not, you are adrift, subject to the tides of circumstance and the whims of emotion. If so, you are unstoppable, for a mind aligned with purpose and mastered over its impulses is a force of nature. We must also address autosuggestion, the process by which thought shapes reality. Whatever you dwell upon, whatever you affirm repeatedly, becomes the soil in which your future grows. If you feed your mind with fear, hesitation, or doubt, you cultivate a harvest of failure. If you feed it with belief, clarity, and vision, you cultivate a harvest of success. Every great achiever understands this law. The words you speak to yourself, the images you hold in your mind, and the convictions you reinforce daily determine the trajectory of your life. Command your thoughts, and you command your destiny. Consider this analogy. A ship at sea may be battered by storms, yet if the captain maintains a steady course, the ship reaches its destination. Let your mind be that captain. Let your discipline be the rudder. Let your detachment be the anchor that prevents the storm from driving you off course. Your emotions are the winds. Your purpose is the compass. A disciplined, detached, purpose-driven mind cannot fail, not because life will be free of challenge, but because you will be unshaken in pursuit of what matters most. And finally, understand the principle of response versus reaction. A reactive mind is a puppet of circumstance. It yields power to every insult, every disappointment, every fear that approaches. A responsive mind acts from principle, considers consequence, and moves strategically. Every moment that you respond rather than react, you increase your power exponentially. Every act of measured thought, every pause before action, every choice rooted in reason rather than impulse builds a life of influence, achievement, and peace. The path I lay before you is not easy. It is not for those who desire comfort, approval, or avoidance of struggle. It is for those who seek mastery, mastery of thought, mastery of emotion, mastery of self. And when you pursue it relentlessly, when you dedicate yourself to the cultivation of your inner world, you will find a freedom unlike any other. Fear loses its grip. Anger loses its power. Doubt loses its authority. You will move through life with confidence, clarity, and the inexorable force of someone who commands their destiny rather than submits to it. Every human being faces this reality. Life will not bend to your desire, and the world will not wait for your approval. Yet most spend their lives as spectators, allowing circumstances, other people's opinions, and fleeting emotions to dictate action. Do not be that person. You were born with a mind capable of extraordinary power, a mind that, when disciplined and aligned with purpose, can bend the seemingly immovable and turn adversity into advantage. Let us speak now of control over desire, because mastery begins with understanding that your impulses, if unchecked, will rule you. Desire is a flame. When properly guided, it illuminates your path. When left untamed, it consumes everything around you. Napoleon Hill wrote, and this cannot be overstated, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. You must cultivate a desire not only powerful but intelligent, not only passionate but disciplined. The desire to achieve without discipline is like planting seeds in barren soil. It is intention without action, hope without fulfillment. Emotional detachment is the bedrock upon which this desire must rest. Why? Because unbridled emotion clouds judgment, invites error, and undermines clarity. Consider the businessman who allows fear of rejection to dictate every decision. Consider the student who lets frustration drive their learning. Consider the leader who allows pride to govern their judgment. Each is enslaved, not by circumstance, but by the very mind designed to command. The first step toward greatness is simple, yet profound. Observe yourself as a neutral witness. Name the emotion, understand its source, and do not act until reason has spoken. This is the principle of thought-first action, and it is non-negotiable for anyone serious about achievement. Every monumental success in history, every empire built, every invention, every act of genius began with one thought, measured, considered, and executed with discipline. Alexander Graham Bell did not invent the telephone because he reacted impulsively to failure. He invented it because he disciplined his mind, detached from fear, and pursued a purpose with singular focus. Thomas Edison did not achieve success because inspiration struck. He achieved it because he mastered frustration, learned from every failure, and allowed purpose to govern reaction. And here is the crucial distinction that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. Reaction is temporary, thought is permanent. A reactive mind is tossed about like a boat in a storm. A thinking, disciplined, detached mind is a lighthouse, unmovable, unshakable, guiding all decisions with certainty. Each moment you pause before reacting, you reclaim control. Each moment you respond with principle rather than impulse, you build momentum toward mastery. Let us now examine self-discipline as a daily exercise, not a distant ideal. Discipline is not something to be practiced only when convenient. It is a habit that permeates every aspect of life. Begin with the smallest actions, rising at a fixed hour, speaking deliberately, allocating your attention with intent, finishing every task you start. Each act of control over the self compounds into power over the world. You will soon discover that the person who can govern the small things, thought, emotion, habit, will inevitably govern the large. There is a law, immutable and unforgiving, known to every great achiever. You cannot direct the external until you have mastered the internal. The public speaker who trembles behind the curtain, the entrepreneur who panics at the first setback, the leader who reacts to every criticism, these are men and women at the mercy of circumstance. The inner world is the true arena of victory. Conquer your mind and all else will bend before your disciplined will. Now, let us turn our attention to mental rehearsal and visualization, tools used by the most successful throughout history. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced. See yourself mastering challenge before it occurs. Feel the calmness, the confidence, the decisiveness. Practice detachment in your imagination. Confront fear in your mind first, and the external world will bow to your preparedness. Your thoughts, when disciplined and repeated, manifest in action, and action inevitably manifests in results. Consider this. The fear of failure exists only in anticipation. When you imagine defeat, your mind feeds on illusion. When you detach, observe, and plan, you strip fear of its power. Each moment of disciplined mental rehearsal, each pause to respond rather than react, each choice to act from reason rather than impulse, chips away at the tyranny of fear. Eventually, fear becomes irrelevant. You act, regardless of its whisper. You succeed, despite its presence. We must also speak of accurate thinking, the principle that ensures all your efforts are effective. Accurate thinking requires honesty, clarity, and the refusal to be swayed by emotion or rumor. Separate fact from opinion. Measure cause from effect. Evaluate every opportunity with precision. Many fail not from lack of effort, but from misdirected effort. A man may toil endlessly, yet accomplish nothing, because he reacts to every impulse, believes every fear, and submits to every external demand. Accurate thinking, when coupled with emotional detachment, creates unstoppable focus. Do not mistake detachment for indifference. Do not confuse discipline with rigidity. Emotional detachment is not the absence of passion. It is the presence of clarity. Mental discipline is not cold calculation. It is the unwavering commitment to principle. It is the ability to stand in the midst of chaos and still say with absolute certainty, I will act not from fear, not from impulse, not from distraction, but from purpose, from clarity, from reason. And now, consider personal initiative, the principle that separates men from boys, leaders from followers. Initiative is the courage to act decisively without waiting for permission, without relying on external validation. A man who masters himself will not wait for the world to bend to his will. He will bend the world to his will because he first bends himself. He initiates, he creates, he perseveres. Emotional detachment ensures that his initiative is not reactive but deliberate. Mental discipline ensures that it is not chaotic but precise. Purpose ensures that it is not aimless but directed. I will share this final truth for now, and it is a truth that has guided every person of extraordinary achievement. You are the architect of your life, not circumstance, not other people, not luck. You, your mind, disciplined, your emotions, governed, your purpose, singular, your actions, deliberate. Every failure you have feared, every disappointment you have dreaded, every hesitation you have indulged, these are not barriers, but signposts, indicators of where mastery must be applied. Your life is not a series of random events. It is a reflection of your inner state. Master the inner state, and the outer world will follow. Now, let us confront a principle often overlooked, yet more powerful than any external tool, more transformative than any strategy taught in business schools or self-help manuals. It is the principle of mental neutrality, the ability to observe without attachment, to engage without surrendering control, to experience without reacting unconsciously. Most people are trapped by their thoughts, their emotions, their fleeting impressions. They are like passengers in a storm-tossed vessel, believing the storm is their destiny. Yet you, the one who has chosen to master emotional detachment, can become the captain of that vessel, setting your course with precision, steering by conviction, and navigating through turbulence with calm certainty. Mental neutrality is not passivity. It is not resignation. It is supreme control. It is the recognition that your thoughts, your judgments, and your feelings are instruments, not masters. When anger arises, you do not unleash it, you study it. When fear grips, you do not succumb, you analyze it. When doubt whispers, you do not obey, you challenge it with reason. This is the law of response versus reaction, a law known by every great general, every successful entrepreneur, every visionary leader in history. Response is deliberate. Reaction is slavery. Imagine, if you will, a man walking through a marketplace of noise, chaos, and conflicting opinions. Every vendor shouts, every passerby demands attention, every emotion tugs at his mind. The untrained man reacts, he buys, he argues, he loses focus. But the trained mind, the disciplined mind, observes. He hears without being swayed. He evaluates without being drawn. He moves with purpose, and everything around him conforms to his command, not because the world changes, but because he has changed his relationship to it. And here is the practical application. Begin each day with the conscious command of your mind. Before you speak, before you act, before you allow the world to press upon you, establish your mental center. This is your fortress. This is your dominion. Declare to yourself, I will allow nothing external to disturb my purpose. I will act with reason, not impulse. I will engage with clarity, not chaos. The simple act of this conscious declaration begins to rewire the mind, to cement discipline, to cultivate the detachment necessary for power and success. Let us now explore the cultivation of calmness, a principle often mistaken for weakness, yet in truth it is the pinnacle of inner strength. Calmness is the byproduct of control over thought and emotion. It is the silent authority that commands respect without speaking, influences without coercion, and acts without haste. A calm mind sees opportunity, where the anxious mind sees threat. A calm mind makes decisions that the frantic mind cannot even consider. A calm mind endures pressure that would crush the untrained. History provides countless examples. Abraham Lincoln, facing the greatest national crisis in American history, maintained calmness amid personal attacks, political turmoil, and the horrors of war. Winston Churchill, in the darkest hours of conflict, inspired a nation not by rash action, but by measured, calm leadership. Emotional detachment is the soil from which this calmness grows, mental discipline is the irrigation, and your purpose is the sunlight. Together, they create a mind that no storm can topple. Now, let us speak of the principle of thought first, action second. For in this principle lies the engine of all achievement. Every action must originate in disciplined thought. Impulsive action is chaos. Consider the entrepreneur who reacts to market rumors, or the investor who follows the frenzy of the crowd. Loss, frustration, and regret follow inevitably. But the individual who masters detachment and discipline pauses to observe, to reason, to plan. Action is then a precise instrument, directed toward the target of desire. It is here that mental mastery becomes tangible power. Thought becomes strategy. Strategy becomes execution. Execution becomes results. Emotional detachment, mental discipline, and clarity of purpose also grant you freedom from the tyranny of approval and validation. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they live for the judgment of others. They adjust their actions, compromise their values, and abandon their principles in pursuit of external acceptance. You, however, must understand this. The world is not your master, your mind is. Seek neither applause nor permission. Measure success not by the opinions of others, but by the alignment of your actions with your purpose. Every act of independence from approval strengthens your inner authority, and with that authority comes influence, respect, and true achievement. Consider autosuggestion, the practical method by which disciplined thought and emotional detachment are reinforced. Napoleon Hill emphasized that the subconscious mind obeys repeated suggestion. What you feed it becomes reality. Speak to yourself with precision. Repeat your purpose. Affirm your mastery. Visualize calm in the face of adversity. Visualize courage in the presence of fear. The mind does not differentiate between imagined discipline and lived discipline. Through autosuggestion, your inner world is sculpted into an unshakable fortress of power, from which your outer world inevitably responds. Now, let us confront fear of failure, the most insidious enemy of success. Fear is born from attachment, attachment to outcomes, attachment to opinion, attachment to imagined disaster. Emotional detachment does not deny risk. It recognizes it without being enslaved by it. Mental discipline does not promise safety. It ensures reason governs action. When fear arises, greet it as a teacher. Ask, what can I learn? How can I adapt? Then act decisively, not reactively. Every moment you confront fear without surrendering, you expand the limits of your capability. Every failure, when approached with disciplined detachment, becomes a lesson, not a prison. And finally, understand the principle of definiteness of purpose, the cornerstone of all achievement. Purpose provides direction to the mind, structure to discipline, and meaning to effort. Without purpose, detachment becomes indifference, discipline becomes rigidity, and thought becomes aimless. But with purpose, every act of mental mastery, every exercise of emotional control, every application of autosuggestion aligns with the single overriding objective of your life. This is the power that allows ordinary men to accomplish extraordinary feats. This is the force that transforms potential into reality. Now, let us consider the battlefield of the mind, for it is here within the silent corridors of thought that the war for success is truly fought. Your external circumstances, the obstacles you face, the criticism or praise of others, are not the sources of your power or your limitation. The source is internal. It is the mind. Trained or untrained, disciplined or chaotic, calm or enslaved by emotion. Mastery over this inner world is the decisive factor in determining the shape of your life, the trajectory of your career, the depth of your influence. Think of the mind as a garden. Left untended, weeds of fear, doubt, and impulsive desire overrun the fertile soil. Yet with disciplined care, every thought can be planted, nourished, and harvested to produce results beyond imagination. What seeds will you sow today? Will they be seeds of reaction and worry, or seeds of calm reasoning, deliberate action, and fearless creativity? Understand this truth. The mind obeys the strongest command it receives. If you command it through discipline, your thoughts will bend toward your purpose. If you surrender it to distraction, it will scatter, leaving your life scattered in consequence. Emotional detachment is the tool that allows the mind to work with clarity. When anger rises, do not let it erupt. Observe it, analyze it. Ask, what is this telling me? What action, grounded in reason, can I take? When anxiety grips, do not flee. Measure it. Understand its roots. Convert it into strategic awareness. The detached mind is never paralyzed by fear, never enslaved by desire, never misled by momentary pleasure. It is a mind free to choose the most powerful course every time. And mental discipline, this is the forge upon which greatness is hammered. Discipline is not mere willpower. It is the deliberate alignment of thought, feeling, and action with your chosen objective. It is the ability to pause when impulsive emotion demands immediate reaction. It is the capacity to invest your energy in long-term advantage rather than short-term gratification. The disciplined mind recognizes that every decision shapes destiny. Every hesitation or rush writes the narrative of life. Your discipline is your signature upon reality. Consider the principle of response over reaction once more, for it cannot be overstated. A reaction is uncontrolled. It is the echo of circumstance. A response is controlled. It is the manifestation of sovereignty. The difference is vast. The reactive individual is tossed like a leaf in the wind, powerless to direct life. The responsive individual, however, moves with deliberate force, shaping the circumstances, bending events, and transforming obstacles into opportunity. Every great leader, every extraordinary achiever learned this principle. It is the secret behind resilience, the engine of effectiveness, the hidden key to freedom. Let us also speak of self-mastery through visualization, the practice by which the mind is conditioned to achieve before action. Close your eyes. See the calm composure you seek in moments of stress. See the measured decision-making in situations where others panic. See yourself acting with precision, executing plans with clarity, responding with power. The subconscious cannot distinguish between imagined mastery and actual mastery. By repeated visualization, you are engraving the architecture of success into your mental fabric. The mind that has seen mastery is the mind that achieves mastery. Every human being experiences failure, yet the way failure is met defines destiny. A reactive mind recoils, blames, regrets, and stagnates. A disciplined, detached mind analyzes, adjusts, and advances. Failure, then, is not an endpoint, it is feedback. Each setback is a lesson, each mistake a signal pointing toward refinement. Emotional detachment allows you to extract this lesson without pain. Mental discipline allows you to apply it without hesitation. The combination transforms defeat into a stepping stone, adversity into an ally, chaos into insight. Consider your daily environment, the people you encounter, the situations you cannot control. A mind enslaved by approval seeks to manipulate, impress, or placate. It is weak. A mind free through detachment does not need to impress. It attracts through competence, composure, and presence. Influence, then, is not coerced, it is granted. The world responds to power, and true power is the product of mastery over oneself, not over others. And now, let us examine the laws of mental clarity, for clarity is the fuel of decisive action. Confusion breeds hesitation. Hesitation breeds regret. Regret breeds stagnation. Yet clarity is born through structured thought. Begin with purpose. Define your objective with precision. Break it into measurable steps. Assess information critically. Remove distractions. Question assumptions relentlessly. When you combine clarity with detachment and discipline, you create a mind that operates like a precision instrument, every action deliberate, every choice aligned, every result predictable. Do not underestimate the power of consistent practice. Mastery is not achieved in a day. Discipline is forged through repetition, not occasional effort. Emotional detachment is strengthened through daily confrontation with impulses, not occasional meditation. Thought mastery is deepened by constant scrutiny, reflection, and adjustment. Every morning, every interaction, every challenge is an opportunity to reinforce your sovereignty over your mind. Every repetition is a brick laid in the foundation of an unshakable inner fortress. And here is the decisive truth. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. The chaos you encounter externally is often a reflection of internal disorder. The opportunities you fail to seize are echoes of indecision within. The failures that frustrate you are born of uncontrolled thought and emotion. Conversely, When your mind is disciplined, detached, and aligned with purpose, your external world begins to conform. Obstacles become manageable, relationships become productive, influence grows, and the path to success becomes visible. The outer world obeys the inner. Master the inner, and the outer bends to your command. Now, let us step into the arena of application, for knowing is not enough. Mastery demands action. You must learn to observe the flow of emotion as it rises without becoming entangled in its surge. Picture yourself standing beside a river. The currents rage, rocks jolt beneath, water splashes unpredictably. Yet you are not the river, you are the observer. You note the force of the current, the trajectory of each wave, and with calm precision, you choose your path. Emotional detachment is the ability to stand on the riverbank of your own mind, to watch impulses and anxieties without drowning in them. This is not coldness, it is sovereignty. It is the act of taking command of your inner world, step by step, thought by thought. The discipline of the mind requires rigorous routine, for chaos thrives in unstructured space. Begin each day with a deliberate focus on your purpose. Write it down, speak it aloud, visualize it vividly. When your objective is embedded in the subconscious, it becomes a compass, guiding you through uncertainty and temptation. Every choice, every interaction, every fleeting thought can then be measured against this compass. You do not react, you respond, you do not sway, you stand firm. You do not act from fear, you act from clarity. Understand the mechanics of thought. Every emotion, every reaction, every judgment begins as a seed in your mind. If left unchecked, these seeds grow into forests of chaos, confusion, and regret. But if observed, disciplined, and redirected, these seeds blossom into trees of insight, strength, and resilience. The mind is not passive, it is the ultimate architect. You are not at the mercy of circumstance, you are the designer of consequence. And just as an architect meticulously plans a building to withstand storms, so must you plan your inner world to withstand provocation, fear, and desire. Now, consider the principle of deliberate mental isolation. There are moments in life when withdrawal is not cowardice, but strategy. Step back from heated debates, from negative influence, from environments that trigger reactive impulses. Observe silently, analyze objectively, make decisions based on intelligence, not agitation. Every great leader, every master of destiny, learned to choose solitude when clarity was needed. In these moments, the mind replenishes itself, strengthens its muscles of discipline, and calibrates its inner compass. Let us examine the law of emotional economy, a principle often overlooked yet fundamental. Emotions are powerful yet finite. Every moment spent in uncontrolled fear, resentment, or desire diminishes your capacity for decisive, creative, effective action. The emotionally disciplined individual invests energy wisely. Anger is spent only when strategic. Passion is expressed only when productive. Fear is acknowledged only to extract lessons. Every other expenditure is wasted, spent on noise, distraction, and defeat. Energy is your currency. Invest it with the precision of a master. Consider also the mirror effect in human relations. People respond not to the chaos they perceive outside, but to the calm, measured energy they feel within you. A mind that has mastered detachment does not flinch when provoked. It does not falter when challenged. This mental neutrality is magnetic. It commands respect, influence, and trust. Others may attempt to manipulate, criticize, or intimidate. Yet the detached mind sees beyond the surface. It responds from insight, not impulse. And in this, it turns resistance into opportunity, conflict into collaboration, and challenge into triumph. To strengthen these faculties, you must embrace mental rehearsal. Imagine the most difficult scenarios you may face. Envision your composed, precise, unwavering response. Play this scene repeatedly in the theater of your mind. With repetition, your subconscious becomes programmed for mastery. When reality confronts you, the practiced mind acts without hesitation, without fear, without error. This is not fantasy, it is training. It is the method by which every successful person transforms theory into action, preparation into victory, thought into reality. And now, the cornerstone principle, the integration of thought, emotion, and action into a single disciplined flow. Knowledge without discipline is wasted. Emotion without control is destructive. Action without alignment is aimless. But when the three converge, when thought guides emotion and both guide action, you become unstoppable. Every decision aligns with your purpose. Every challenge becomes an instrument for growth. Every interaction is leveraged for advantage. You are no longer subject to circumstance. You are its master. Now, let us confront the inevitability of challenge. For life is relentless in its tests. It is not a question of if difficulty will arise, but when and how you will meet it. The mind enslaved by fear collapses at the first sign of resistance. The mind trained in detachment and discipline stands like a mountain in a storm, unmoved, observing, calculating, responding. This is the difference between mediocrity and excellence. This is the difference between a life of excuses and a life of achievement. Understand this. Adversity is the proving ground of the inner fortress. It is easy to maintain calm when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. True mastery is revealed when circumstance strikes without warning, when losses mount, when criticism pierces, when temptation whispers. In these moments, the detached mind does not panic, does not rail, does not flee. It evaluates, it adapts, it acts with deliberate precision. Each challenge is a mirror reflecting the strength of your inner discipline. Each obstacle is a test of your mental sovereignty. And each success that follows is born not of luck, but of mastery over thought and emotion. Consider the principle of anticipation, a tool wielded by every great mind. The disciplined individual does not wait for chaos to erupt before responding. They foresee, they plan, they rehearse. Every potential setback is examined, every possible provocation anticipated. Then, when reality strikes, the response is not reactive, it is deliberate, calm, impeccably calculated. This is the power of mental foresight, the power of detachment applied proactively, the power that allows one individual to outperform others by orders of magnitude, not because they avoid difficulty, but because they are prepared to navigate it without fear. And now, the principle of emotional neutrality in human interaction. Many are enslaved by the opinions, moods, and manipulations of others. The careless allow themselves to be drawn into arguments, drama, and distraction. The master sees the pattern, not the provocation. They maintain a calm center. They speak with purpose, act with clarity, and listen with intent. Influence is not imposed through force. It flows naturally from presence, from integrity, from composure. The detached mind is magnetic. People trust it. They follow it. They yield to it. And in this, personal power expands, not through coercion, but through subtle authority. Let us delve into the law of deliberate focus. Your mind is capable of extraordinary output, yet it is squandered when scattered. Every distraction, every indulgence of impulse, every unexamined emotion dissipates the energy that could have created wealth, innovation, or legacy. Focus is the engine of achievement. Discipline directs it. Detachment protects it. The focused mind ignores noise, prioritizes impact, and channels its full force toward objectives of value. Here lies the secret. Nothing in the external world can disturb a mind that has learned the art of focused, disciplined, detached attention. It is impenetrable, unshakable, unstoppable. Now imagine the orchestration of thought, feeling, and action over a lifetime. This is the essence of success. Each morning begins with purpose. Each day is conducted with awareness. Each moment is measured, controlled, and leveraged. You do not allow fear, envy, or doubt to dictate your behavior. You do not allow praise to inflate or criticism to diminish. You do not react to circumstance. You shape it. The inner world becomes the master. The outer world becomes the instrument. This is the mark of the individual who transcends limitation and touches extraordinary achievement. We must also address the mastery of patience, for immediate results are a fantasy. The mind accustomed to instant gratification is a mind in bondage. The disciplined mind understands timing, understands the natural rhythm of effort and reward, understands that sustained, consistent action compounds into results beyond imagination. Detachment here is essential. Patience is not passive. It is active observation, active preparation, active maintenance of composure. Every delay is a lesson, every setback an opportunity, every prolonged effort an investment in the future. Next, the principle of mental alignment with purpose. Thoughts without alignment are wasted energy. Emotion without alignment is destructive. Action without alignment is chaos. When all three converge toward a clear, definite objective, the individual becomes a force of nature. Opportunities arise, coincidences multiply, obstacles diminish. This alignment is not accidental. It is cultivated through constant self-examination, deliberate practice, and unwavering commitment to discipline and detachment. The universe, it seems, yields to minds that are coherent, focused, and unshaken. Consider the transformative power of deliberate reflection. At the close of each day, the master does not surrender to fatigue or distraction. They examine each decision, each reaction, each emotional surge. What was effective? What was wasted? What was inspired by clarity? And what was colored by fear? Reflection is the laboratory of self-improvement. It turns experience into wisdom, error into insight, and life into a continuous trajectory of advancement. Now, observe the principle of mental immunity to opinion. The undisciplined mind is fragile, swayed by praise, wounded by criticism, distracted by rumor. The master cultivates a mind impervious to such interference. They seek truth, not approval. They act on principle, not popularity. They measure consequences, not applause. In this immunity, peace is found, focus is maintained, and power is consolidated. Emotional detachment is the shield. Disciplined thought is the sword. Together, they protect the mind and enable unerring progress toward purpose. And finally, let us embrace the law of unshakable confidence, which is not arrogance, but certainty grounded in preparation, mastery, and self-awareness. Confidence grows from the repeated practice of controlled thought, measured action, and the ability to remain detached from chaos. It is not an emotion that flares and fades. It is a state of being, cultivated through relentless discipline. When this confidence is combined with emotional neutrality, mental clarity, and aligned purpose, the individual becomes unstoppable. Fear has no foothold. Doubt is irrelevant. Success is not a possibility. It is inevitable. Now we turn to the arena where mastery is most visibly tested, adversity and failure. Every individual encounters it. No one escapes it. It arrives unannounced, uninvited, often at the moment when complacency has lulled the mind. The undisciplined soul is crushed under the weight of disappointment, anger, or despair. They blame circumstances, others, fate itself. But the disciplined mind, the mind trained in detachment, meets adversity as it would a teacher, not an enemy. It asks, what lesson do you offer? What opportunity is hidden within your challenge? Each setback becomes a stepping stone. Each failure a laboratory where the mind tests theories, sharpens focus, and strengthens resilience. Remember this, reaction is surrender, response is power. When the untrained mind reacts, it is a leaf caught in the storm. When the trained mind responds, it is a pilot navigating turbulence with precision. Emotional detachment does not mean coldness or apathy. It means mastery. It means that anger, fear, frustration, and panic do not dictate action. They are observed, understood, and then channeled into purpose. Consider the story of the man who lost everything yet rose higher than he had ever imagined. He did not curse his circumstances. He did not wallow in self-pity. He studied, he planned, he acted deliberately, and he rebuilt his life. His secret was not extraordinary talent, nor was it mere luck. His secret was mastery over his inner world, unwavering focus, and the refusal to allow external events to govern his destiny. Every individual has access to this power, yet few claim it, because most are still enslaved by the whims of their own emotions. And now, let us explore the art of influence through calm authority. True power over others is not demanded, it is inspired. The individual who commands their emotions, who speaks with clarity, and who acts from a place of deliberate purpose, draws respect effortlessly. People sense it, they follow it, they trust it. Emotional detachment is the hidden engine of influence. When you do not react to provocation, when you maintain composure under pressure, When you act with integrity, regardless of the chaos around you, you become a lodestar. Others may not immediately understand, but they are irresistibly drawn to your presence. Influence is a byproduct of self-mastery, not a technique to be practiced superficially. Next, we examine mental rehearsal and visualization, tools that distinguish the exceptional from the ordinary. The mind cannot differentiate between vivid thought and lived experience. When you imagine yourself navigating difficulty with calm, solving problems with ingenuity, and achieving objectives with unshakable confidence, the subconscious begins to build the neural pathways required to execute these actions in reality. Repetition transforms imagination into instinct, fear into courage, hesitation into decisiveness. This is how visionaries, leaders, and titans of achievement program themselves to success. They do not wait for the world to show them the way. They create it in the quiet theater of the mind first, and reality follows. Now, consider the principle of absolute responsibility. Every outcome you experience, every circumstance you encounter, is at its core a reflection of your choices, your focus, your discipline, or the lack thereof. To blame others is to relinquish power. To claim responsibility is to command it. The individual who achieves extraordinary results does not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What will I do?" They see opportunity in every difficulty, potential in every challenge, and lessons in every failure. Mastery over the inner world is inseparable from mastery over one's responses, one's attention, and one's initiative. Let us confront the deception of instant gratification, which undermines the majority of ambition. The impatient mind seeks reward without effort, comfort without sacrifice, fame without discipline. This mind is enslaved. The master delays gratification strategically, recognizing that the greatest rewards require sustained, deliberate effort. The discipline to act consistently, to persist beyond the point where others quit, and to maintain emotional neutrality in the face of temptation is the difference between a life of fleeting pleasure and a life of enduring achievement. And so we arrive at the synthesis of all principles: emotional detachment, mental discipline, unwavering focus, deliberate action, responsibility, and patience. These are not abstract virtues. They are practical tools, daily practices, and internal codes that shape reality itself. When the mind commands the inner world, the outer world bends to its vision. Obstacles dissolve, opportunities manifest, and influence flows naturally. Every thought, every choice, every action becomes purposeful. You no longer stumble through life reacting to circumstance. You stride, deliberate, unshaken, and unstoppable. Now hear this truth. The moment you claim control of your mind, you claim control of your destiny. Fear no longer binds you. Doubt no longer paralyzes you. Approval is no longer necessary. The world may rage, mislead, and resist, but your inner citadel stands resolute. You are the master of your thoughts, the commander of your emotions, and the architect of your future. Every moment is an opportunity to reinforce discipline, sharpen focus, and cultivate detachment. Every decision, no matter how small, is a vote cast for the life you are determined to build. And finally, the call to action is simple yet profound. Practice relentlessly, reflect honestly, and act decisively. Build your day around purpose, not distraction. Train your mind daily as a sculptor shapes marble. Observe, understand, and direct your emotions. Rehearse success in thought before you enact it in life. Own every outcome, delay every unnecessary impulse, and cultivate unwavering patience. In this, you become unstoppable. In this, you become sovereign. In this, you awaken the true potential that has always existed within.